I'm doing freelance work. I'd like to show some, but I'm not sure. This is supposed to be a family-friendly channel, right? So Alright, so hello everybody. I'm Joy Enriquez, otherwise known as Maligaya. That's M AAA Ligaya, which is the Tagalog word for happy, which is also connected to my name. Um, I'm currently a full-time freelance artist. If you've seen my work, you would have either seen my fan arts of both Marvel and DC characters, or you could have read my really old work, which is Hotline. It was independently published and sold in Comic Cons back in 2012, 2014, I think. Yeah, and today I will be drawing Atom E from the new Prime Video series, the Invincible. Yeah. So let me show you my sketch. I know the sketch, but I had time, so I already prepared like my sketch. You can see that I normally have loose lines for the pencils. The whole idea is I normally lay out a lot of plans before I start drawing on paper when I do traditional work. You know what they say: if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. And yeah, so normally starts with a thumbnail sketch just like this. It's really tiny, it's about as tiny as I can get. Can be anywhere, any piece of paper I find lying around, as long as I have the idea. And then I transfer it to the material like this. I do some modifications to make it more dynamic and interesting. Since I'll be coloring as well, I do plan which colors to pick as well because I'm using alcohol-based markers. You'll see like a cheat sheet like this. I have everything from the colors I'll be using on the hair to her zappy stuff and the background. I put in the names of the markers that I'll be using so I don't forget which one to get out of my bunch. So let's get started. For a traditional piece, I normally lay out the colors first. This is after I found out that if you start with the inks, it would smudge if you ink a large area, no matter how much I left it to dry before. For the skin, I normally use this one, which is pale heat. This is a technique I learned from Mark Brooks. Others would just go for like an earthly tone for markers, which is kind of orangey. This one gives it that richer undertone for me. So, sorry. I'll be just erasing some of the lines just a little bit. Not all too much because I want to go back there later. Okay. Um, well, I'd say the one most responsible for it will have to be Adam Hughes. Because back then I had just a slight interest in Copic markers, but after seeing his work and seeing him teach how to use it, I like it because it allows me to think about coloring in a value type of sense. Normally, if you're just using color pencils, you'll be thinking about is this the right color? I'll be thinking about my strokes, but with Copic markers and alcohol-based markers, um, there's a lot more chance for me to step back and just try to look at it as if I'm sculpting something rather than overly rendering right away. Yeah, she doesn't really have a lot. She doesn't really show a lot of skin, other than the face and the thighs. So maybe coloring that in. I think it made it more diverse. I'll be honest, when I started reading the first few chapters, I did see that it could be visually more interesting if there are more types of characters to look at. I'm not sure. Will that be a spoiler? I'm not so sure. Will that be categorized as a spoiler? One of the major changes I think that they made is Mark's Mark's friend, the other female character. I forgot her name, but they changed the ethnicity of the character. She's supposed to be like the white character, and I mean that's also fine. But then I like seeing a lot of colors on my monitor. I like seeing a lot of types of characters. Like you see big ones, and you know, representation. It's all about representation nowadays. So that makes it more interesting. It set her apart from how Atom Eve looks. Is if you put them aside, I think if they're in the comics, they almost go through the same tropes. With Copic markers, you also learn some patience. Like you have to give it time, and you'll see once it's all done that it's much more interesting than how it started. Just like in life, I guess. Sometimes it would look as if everything's all muddy and really bad, but give it some time, and you're gonna see that it's all amazing in the end. Or I use like colored pencils, and with colored pencils, you can just erase it, and great. You can start over. There's more chance to just redo whatever you think went funky. With markers, you lay it in and that's it. At first, I was really scared, but it helped me relax and go for those happy little accidents. Um, and it's also great with markers because you see it almost immediately when it's colored, especially if you have the wide tip. You'll see the colors already applied. So it's all this balance. So, yeah. And another thing that I like about alcohol markers, especially these ones that have like the hard books, it's always interesting to make your edges vary. Like you can have really soft ones, or you can make like a really sharp tone there. Um, my favorite character right off the bat, even though I don't know her yet, I don't know her personality, was actually Duplicate. And it was because of her powers. Her powers is one of my, it's one of the powers I always dreamed about. Um, when I was younger, I always wanted to like have this ability to split myself. So one person can like sleep, one person can read all these books that I've been wanting to read, and the other one will just be watching all the shows I want to watch. With Eve, though, after I read the comics, after I watched a few episodes of the show, um, I really like, aside from her really great hair, I also like how she seems to be really responsible with her powers. I think she knows where to use it, um, and if she's upset with someone, she just really expresses it. She's not really one to hide it. But at least that's the impression she's giving me. So yeah, that's also an interesting character point. Um, I can see or I can sense that she wants to help out a lot of people. When you first learn how to color that, you just got the highlights and the shadows, and you're fine. With Copics, this is really where, since it got my attention, I got searching and I actually learned how to color. And yeah, I could apply it in my digital artworks as well, like, because I know a little bit about values now. I used to not get it at all when I was just purely doing digital. Yeah. And there are also some funky or some really funny things that happened to me though when I switched from traditional to digital, because I do both. There are really funny moments. I'm not sure if anyone else has encountered this, but there are some times when I work on a traditional piece like this, and then I realize I have to like maybe get water or go to the bathroom, and then I hit Control S on my keyboard as if I'm trying to save it. It's really funny when that happens. Which brings me to the other thing that's nice about traditional drawing, which also helps me relax. One of the mistakes that I had when I first used markers was I didn't buy the set. I just bought them individually according to what I saw online, what color that artist is using. It's normally videos where Copic markers will have the artist telling you, okay, this is the color I use for this drawing. And so what I did was I listed them down and then I ordered them individually. You can do that here. I'm not sure if you can do that in other countries, but here in the Philippines, some suppliers allow you just to order just your own list of customized, like a custom set. And I did that, and then I realized I can only draw one kind of character for those types of colors. So by then I realized number one, it would be better to buy it using the sets that they have, especially if you're just starting, because then it would give you a wider range of characters to draw. It's the first one. Second thing, just be patient. It won't look good right away because it sometimes needs time to dry, to spread those colors. So you really want to be patient with yourself. Yeah, and finally, do the inks last, I would say, instead of doing the line art before the ink. Because it's also the darkest part of the color, so you want to reserve that at the last part. You can also experiment and have a lot more interesting things going on if you put that last. A lot of artists will tell you to start with like the lighter values first before the darker ones, but it's really up to you. You can go from dark to light, but then that would require a lot more control. That means you have to be like really precise. It's also good to know what type of style you're comfortable with. For some people, they can do like the precise line works. Their style works better with sharp edges. Some people use masking tape so that you get these like these really sharp edges. See there, so that you don't just accidentally go over that edge. It happened to me a lot when I was starting. I haven't quite started that yet because yeah, I just found out about it. I think I found on a post by Wayne Foucher on Facebook. He showed like a process video where he placed tape, just masking tape, to isolate some areas. It's on Photoshop and other software, you have those lasso tools and selection tools, and you can do that too here on traditional media. Just have to put something on top of it, which is in a sense it has the same logic. Um, I don't really have a preference whether it's traditional or it's digital, like which one's more superior than the other, because they're just tools. It's still up to you to decide, to study how to use them. Um, it's like using, for me, I'd like to imagine it, I always like to compare it to war and stuff. Like, you want to imagine it like these are different powers, or these are, yeah, that would be a better analogy, since I'm drawing a superhero. It's like knowing your superpower. You gotta know its limitations, you wanna know how to push it, like creative ways to use it. Oh, my stuff right now, the most organized one will be on ArtStation. You just type in um, my handle. I use it everywhere. So probably if you have social media, I'm gonna write it down. You look for this name, and I'm sure mine will come up. Maligaya. Is it even showing up? Yeah, like that. Maligaya. Or Joy Enriquez. Although I think there's a singer with the same name, so I use this one instead. What do I use this? You look that up, either on ArtStation, Facebook, Twitter. Yeah. On Twitter, though, I would say I do post mature stuff, because I also added that on my list, like not safe for work content. Um, I I am a believer of you should experiment as much as you can, not just isolate yourself on one genre and not make one genre superior to the other. So I really just try almost everything. Right now, I'm experimenting on not safe for work or R18 type of genres. I post those that I can, whenever I can. Yeah, but I am also working on an independent comic. Once it's done, I'm right now just on the writing stage, but once it's done, I'm definitely posting it on other platforms. Hotline is currently submitted to Pen Lab, which is like a local comic website here. If you are familiar with webtoons, it's like that, but most of the stuff there are Filipino content. So if there are people there who are interested in seeing Filipino artists and their works, I think Roy's work is also there. At least the first few chapters of Opium, you can see it there in Penla. Visit the site; it's pretty cool. Soon as we got everything clear for Hotline, I'll be uploading the first chapter, and I'd probably be uploading more once I get into um, writing that again.
Have you actually met Roy or talked to him?
Not personally, but I have been following him for just a few months. I am familiar with his work here, although I've never really had time to read it yet. Yeah, and he's like a really awesome artist too. He has this like noir style. I think that is how you define it. Or is that gothic? Anyway, like, there are a lot of contrast to the dark and light style music. It looks really awesome. And, yeah. Right now, my style is as you can see, mostly manga or anime. Although it is from a mix of my preferences, I like Western comic books as much as I like manga. So sometimes comes out in my style, like a semi Western style. I can't really do the cute cute anime type of style because that's not really my taste. As a kid, um, I always like more mature genres. I don't think I'll ever stop thinking that way. Um, yeah, so I think one of the proudest I could say, although I could never really say that I'm a really good artist, I could say that I'm always just evolving. Um, if you take a look at my art station or even on my Facebook page, you would see that my style, especially rendering, has really changed a lot from back when I just started. Really has this huge jump in improvement, and I'm always proud to say that. Yeah, that's because of all the hard work. So I think I'll be ending it at this, and I'll just put my signature somewhere. um, yeah, where can we put that? I think I'm gonna put that on her team. Monday. There. So that's me. And there we go. We're done with Atom P. Um, and I'll be scanning this too, and I'll be putting it on all my art pages. I do regularly post on ArtStation. I try to update it by batches now. I also upload stuff on Facebook. I have an art page also with the same name, Maligaya. And yeah, on all social media platforms. I'm trying to get active on Instagram. So yeah, same name, Maligaya, and you'll see me there. All the artworks. I also post sketches there because I try to regularly sketch as soon as I have the idea so that we can get all these experiments done and we can apply it on the next piece. So there you go. And yeah, so that's it. Am I supposed to say something? Is this